Are you struggling to find mental health clinicians to work for your group practice or agency? Tired of posting job ads for your open roles only to have no response? Or worse, have the wrong individual apply for the role? What if you had a partner who understood both the intricate requirements and career arc of a mental health clinician and how to recruit them more efficiently to work for your organization? Sparrow Search Services is a behavioral health focused recruiting firm that utilizes their staff expertise as practicing mental health clinicians to source and engage other mental health clinicians who may be open to making a career upgrade. Reach out to Sparrow today via their website, sparrowsearchservices.com, to see how they can help you. Mention keyword Joe in your message to receive $500 off your first placement. Again, that's sparrowsearchservices.com and use promo code Joe to get that discount. This is the Practice of the Practice podcast with Joe Sanok, session number 914. I am Joe Sanok, your host, and welcome to the Practice of the Practice podcast. I am so excited that you are here with me today. We are here to help you start, grow, and scale your private practice, all those things that we don't learn in grad school. And actually, I am really excited to tell you about something that we are just launching. It's called 40 Days to Full. So if you don't have a full bursting at the seams counseling practice, we've put together a free 40-day text course. So all you need to do is text hashtag 40 to 231-422-0677. Again, that's hashtag 40 to 231-422-0677. And over these 40 days, you will get a daily text telling you what you need to do to go from not bursting at the seams to being completely full over those 40 days. And we've got links, we've got exciting tips. It's a great way to just keep you on track every single day, totally for free, just to get your practice full. We want to fill you up. So make sure you opt into that. We'll also have that number again at the end of the show. And I am just so excited today because we have got an amazing guest. We have Guillaume Wiatr, and Guillaume is here today to talk about all sorts of different things. Guillaume is the author of Strategic Narrative, a simple method that business leaders can use to help everyone understand their businesses, get behind in, and believe in it. His company, MetaHelm, guides CEOs, founders, and leadership teams of professional service firms to gain focus and traction so they build a successful business that they love. He's sought after by senior executives of companies like Alaska Airlines, the Gates Foundation, Generations for Peace, Gap, Google, Microsoft, and the US and French governments. Welcome to the Practice of the Practice podcast today.
Joy, it's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for this awesome intro.
Oh, yeah. I am so glad to have you here today. And, I always love when there's people that are thinking about strategy, about the ways we run our business, and really being intentional in how we build a business that we love. Has this always been a passion of yours, or did you kind of discover it over time?
Well, it has certainly grown over time, but I have to say that I wanted to be a consultant when I was a teenager. I come from a family of entrepreneurs, and on one side, my dad is a doctor. On the other side, he wanted me to be also a doctor. He took me to the OR, but I fainted every time. so I thought, okay, what about becoming a doctor for businesses? So that's my journey. It's been a passion.
Wow. So even back in high school.
Yes, yeah, it's
Yeah, usually it seems like people like discover it later on.
yeah. It started back in high school, and then I went to school, and I got a degree in business. But along the way, I kept an open mind. I'm also an artist. I had a bit of my career focusing on professional piano playing, and I was also a counselor and a coach, in France in the early 2000s. And that's when I grew a passion for human relationships and started to think about businesses and strategy in a completely different way. And this has led me to now create strategic narrative, which is my the name of my methodology. It's a trademark methodology. And what strategic narrative does is that it brings a holistic view of your business. So not just sales or marketing, but it takes also into consideration your leadership. And a very important piece of your leadership is your inner narrative. So when people think about strategic narrative, their initial reaction is like, oh, this must be a communications and marketing thing, like to get more clients. Yes, it is, but not just that. It also is also methodology that keeps you aligned with why you wanted to be in this business in the first time and how you grow a team that moves into a cohesive system. And it's all based on my experience, starting 4 businesses. This is the fourth one. And every time I got into, coming up with a new venture idea, I could always, see those patterns. Like it's great to be the best practitioner possible, but how do we connect? How do we weave in all facets of our business together to make it such that the business has what I call narrative power, the ability to change the normal when the normal is wrong. To me, entrepreneurship is about change, is about transformation, whether we want to transform our clients, our communities, our market, or even be the hero of this transformation. I see entrepreneurship as a journey of transformation, and we become a different person because we adopt an entrepreneurial mindset. So
Mm.
that's a bit about my background and why I came up with this methodology.
Yeah, I would love for you to give us just like a quick masterclass on, and I know this is much larger than what this podcast is, but what are the basic elements of strategic narrative, and then maybe how can we start to implement some of those concepts into our private practices?
So the first thing that I'd like to start with is to define what a narrative is. Most people think that a story and a narrative are identical. Maybe I am guessing that for your audience, Joey, people who are private practitioners, they have a sense that it is something different because there are ways to help our clients by changing their narrative. And that's the definition that I want to tap into. A story is closed ended, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. A narrative is open ended, it just influences and shapes all of our decisions and action on a daily basis. So the first thing to understand is that difference. When you understand that difference, now you do. When you have this in mind, you can easily start picturing a system of things that you do, things that you say, decisions that you make. And the whole point of strategic narrative is to orchestrate everything you think, you feel, you do, you say inside your business and outside your business. So it can be a complex system. It can be quite messy and tangled, between what you put on your website and how you lead your sessions with your clients, or the kind of financial decisions you're going to make. Those connections sometimes can be not so obvious or contradictory even. And so the what strategic narrative does is that it splits that system into 4 areas. The first one is visionary leadership. And visionary leadership, I define as your your ability to forge a mindset and habits for turning possibilities into realities. That's the first area. So in this practice, what you're going to do is really work on how you reframe your inner narrative, like whether you have doubts or feel like an imposter because you start publishing or putting things on the internet about what you do, but don't feel very confident and very clear about the pieces of marketing that you put together. So that's the first area, and I just give you very quick examples, but there are many more narratives to be reframed in that domain. The second one is meaningful marketing. Meaningful marketing is all about helping your business find its true relevance in the world. And as practitioners and professional services owners, business owners, we play in crowded spaces. I mean, open Google, or if you still have a phone book, they don't exist, but they used to be our resources to find people to help us. There is a lot of people doing what we do, right? So how do we keep our business relevant? Well, you do 3 things. One, you want to think about your positioning. how do you align your unique value, your unique approach to what your clients really need and want? The second thing is, how do you build a business vision that is more than just the vision that you have for your business? Say, here is the revenue I want to make in a year, or here is how big I want it to be. That's your business vision, but it's very self-centered. The holistic business vision is about what is the greater good that your business is intended to produce. And the third element is about making sure that you publish on a frequent basis, that you show up consistently, relentlessly, frequently, and most importantly, authentically in front of the people that you can serve best. I know you do this quite well, Joey, right?
Thank you. Yeah, I think that when people really choose to show up on a regular basis and figure out for their schedules what they can do ongoing, that's where the needle really starts to move forward instead of when I feel like it or things like that.
Yeah, I suggest that people build that as a habit. As a In fact, that's the reason why I call it a discipline. Meaningful. I call it meaningful marketing a discipline, because it's really about creating the habit, and hopefully a joyful habit, to invest in your ability to express yourself. To find a way to think about marketing as a method for personal growth, by exploring your ideas, explaining, teaching something to somebody, explaining how you would approach specific situations, and so on. And so I'm just lingering a tad here, because it's a question that I often get, is like, should I start publish something? How often should I start publishing something? And my answer is, like, yeah, if you're not sharing a signal out there, you're just missing out, not just on the possibility to be visible to your client, but on a huge source of personal and professional development, right? The act of crafting and turning your thoughts into something clear and compelling is just such a major way to improve who you are as an expert.
Yeah, I think that's a great example of building expertise, that when you are committing that extra time to an area, like, this is episode, I think, 913. If each one of
Yeah.
these, is an hour conversation, or, in getting to know someone and making those connections, it's almost 1,000 hours of extra time that I've put into learning how to become a consultant, and doing it in a way that helps other people. And so finding those areas that you can almost double dip, where I'm learning to become a better consultant, a better business owner. I'm also creating content and having, sponsors on the show and all these different areas that, then you are like layering upon layering.
Right, right. Most people think that you do this only to get clients. And the narrative that has to change here is not just that, but you also do this as a way to cultivate your expertise, as you mentioned, Joy, right? You spend literally thousands of hours doing this, and you become a better professional. And this will have an impact on how you grow a team, how you make better decisions, how you craft new services. I heard you, in the intro of this show, announce a new service, right? And I'm sure that there is a connection between this and the publication work that you do.
Yeah. Now, what else do we need to know specifically around strategic narrative, as we're walking through your process and gaining some insights in it?
So there is two other areas that are critical. The next one is called purposeful operations. And purposeful operations is about planning and managing your business according to a singular moral compass, what I call also your perspective. Some people say their point of view. When you start developing a meaningful perspective, what happens is that you're more deliberate in what kind of work that you do, how you approach your work, and you start forging an opinion, if you will. You're putting your unique fingerprints on the way you do your work. And the reason why I say this is critical is because it is the one specific way you can differentiate yourself. Many practitioners will go to take courses or professional development, or you have a degree in a specific area, and that is a platform for your perspective. But you also have another layer on top of that, which is really your unique way to approach the work that you do and bring it to bear. And that is a huge source of differentiation. People don't just want to work with you because you do better work. They want to work with you for you and for how you do this work. So that's how you create an operational practice. That's how you bring purposeful operation into your practice, is in focusing on perspective development, which I define as the exploration, diffusion, and utilization of a signature argument that you make in service of your audience's best interest. With that approach, people know why they want to choose you. So you differentiate by kind of disagreeing with some of your colleagues sometimes. You know, you have a different take on things. That's how you build a purposeful practice. And then the last but not least is the sales piece. And I know that when I use the word sales, I'm probably ruffling feathers. Like, who wants to hear about sales, right? We don't want to be a salesperson because selling typically has a bad reputation. But there is another way to look at sales. There is another narrative around sales, and that's why it's a strategic one to adopt, which is to see selling as a way to align your what you do, your help with your ideal clients, with true benevolence, not just forceful persuasion. You know, no one wants to be the used car salesperson, especially in our profession. That's a big no-no. And so that's why we, by default, kind of sometimes avoid the topic of selling. We don't want to have a sales process, but no matter what you think or what you do, you still sell. And that's selling is a is a very healthy, when done authentically, is a very healthy thing to do. It's a very ancestral art that is of service to people. And so you should do three things in this area. First of all is practice what I call authentic outreach. When was the last time you had one of your maybe service providers reach out to you, genuinely ask you, Joey, okay, what's your situation currently? What are you struggling with? When are what are your challenges? What is that we could help you do, right? When was the last time?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I don't think tons of people directly reach out and say that as much as like, us having to ask, on the flip side.
Right, exactly. So authentic outreach is really about flipping that narrative and realizing that when you do this in a human way, you create an emotional connection with your clients, with your audience. It's not about selling them the latest promo. It's just more about caring for their well-being. What is it that is happening, and understanding and learning from their situation. And potentially you don't there is nothing you can do for them, or you just don't have the right service for them, and you may refer them to somebody else. But what you do is that you nurture your community with that mindset, with that attitude, and eventually it comes back at you, in another form. So that's one of the three things, and very quickly I'll touch on the two others. The second one I call intentionally designing offerings that are meaningful and useful to people. So many of us think about our services as just giant bucket of things we can do, and mostly driven by hourly work. Um, but if you put a little bit of attention into this, you may be able to come up with really creative and innovative ways to serve people. And the last one is selling expertise. You should not sell what you do like you're selling a product or a commodity. And I think that's a major source of confusion for most people here. We try to adopt selling and sales strategies that are derived from product companies that feel very weird to us and awkward. There is a special way to sell expertise, and I like to use a metaphor here. We are like we're like lighthouses in our professions, and lighthouses don't run over the island trying to save ships. We stand still and we shine, and we stay there for whenever people need us. That's the philosophy behind selling expertise in the context of strategic narrative. So there you have it. That was your crash course.
I love it. Thank you. Going in network with insurance can be tough. I know when I took insurance, there were long wait times and it was so confusing. Filing all the right paperwork is time consuming and tedious, and even after you're done, it can take months to get credentialed and start seeing clients. That's why Alma makes it easy and financially rewarding to accept insurance. When you join their insurance program, you can get credentialed within 45 days and access enhanced reimbursement rates with major payers. They also handle all of the paperwork from eligibility checks to claims submissions and guarantee payment within 2 weeks of each appointment. Once you've joined Alma's insurance program, you can see clients in your state of licensure, regardless of where you're working from. It's amazing to know that you can be fully online. Learn more about building a thriving practice with Alma at helloalma.com/Joe. That's hello, ALMA.com/Joe to get started. Now, when you think about opportunities for people to really level up their practices, so I think of a few different opportunities, and maybe you can speak to these, and maybe you see other ones as well. There's the general counseling that they're doing, where they can improve their expertise, they can have stronger niches, they can take different insurances or not take insurances, so they can optimize the actual counseling. They can look at adding other clinicians or other specialties to the practice. They can launch into expertise areas that they're already good at, but to do it in a different way. So that could be through e-courses or podcasts, or even consulting or coaching for companies. When people are thinking through the opportunities that therapists can have in growing their income, growing their business, what are other opportunities that you see professionals take to continue to level up their businesses?
Well, I think that you in the examples that you gave, you refer to what I call business models. Business models are the modalities that you can come up with to deliver the value that you have for your clients. So some traditional business models are, working on a session by session, and then you want to maybe put a package together, or perhaps put a course and some online content. And then more recently, we see obviously the development of memberships. In fact, my company, MetaHelm, has for a business model primarily memberships. We have different levels of ways to work with people. That's one way to level up your business. Certainly a very rich, very important way. But another facet of this is to think about your business model as the material expression of what I called earlier your perspective. And if you start investing in researching and developing what makes your approach unique, um, combined with good business models, that's when you're going to see major improvement and major growth there, because people will come to you not just because you are a good practitioner, not just because you have a convenient business model with like the type of sessions that they want, or hours or pricing that they need, but they will come to you because they can sense and they can read that, because it should be public, it should be published on your website, for instance, or maybe you have a book, but they can sense that they come to you for a unique way to look at things that aligns with their value. And uh, and that is a very often overlooked way to grow somebody's business. It's because it's so much easier to just repeat what everybody is saying, right? But in doing this, you just don't differentiate. Whereas if you tap into your own authentic set of beliefs for how to do the work that you do, then you just open up uh, a greater source of what I call narrative power, a greater source for turning people's situation, namely your client situation. So that is a bit of less explored way because it can be scary. But if you do it little bit by bit, if you start just by grabbing a piece of paper and writing down, say, your 5 to 10 golden rules for the kind of therapy you provide, this is already a major step towards taking your business from the level of just a simple vendor to the level of an expert, or also almost like a moral authority. Because all of a sudden, what you do is that you tie the way you do your work to a mission, you tie it to a certain path that people are excited to find on their way to a better life.
So awesome. Now, where would you say that most business owners really get hung up or do things wrong in ways that get in the way of them having the strategic narrative approach?
There are so many so many areas, but a, a typical one is to want to delegate this, delegate your involvement in a process like this one. uh, no one else can develop a perspective like you do. Even for marketing and sales, it's tempting to contact or just say yes to those people who contact us and say, hey, yeah, we'll do your, we'll write for you, we'll take on, content development. And I say this from experience, Joey. This is what I used to believe, and I got really hung up on this, and I got really stuck for even a few years, and something was just not clicking. First of all, it was very expensive. It was a lot of time spent, and I could never really see, um, our true voice as a team here at MetaHelm at the time, in the marketing that we were putting out there. So I had to come to the realization that I had to lead this process. I had to be really involved, and I took on, I took over the process of marketing, and learned a lot and shaped the model and really explored what is it that I was standing for, how I wanted to communicate, the length of my article, the frequency. I learned to use video better. Now I have a YouTube channel where I post a video almost every day, and now and I came back to a place where I won't delegate this whole process, but I will get support with very clear directions. So again, that's one place where you can really get stuck, is in believing that this is something you can completely avoid because you're just passionate about what you do and you just want to focus on what you do best, which is delivering great work. You
Mm,
also have to play in those other areas of your business.
mm. Now, the last question I always ask is, if every private practitioner in the world were listening right now, what would you want them to know?
So the message that I would leave them with is that the reasons that their practice exists, and the deep reasons, the big reasons why their practice exists, uh, are sometimes more important than just what they deliver or how do they do this work. We talk a lot about purpose, and I want to encourage you to tap into the purpose of your business. It can be scary, it can take quite a bit of time. Uh, but once you align your purpose with the way you do your work every day, you will see huge acceleration, not just in the success, the financial success of your business, but also in the sense of accomplishment that you have. You will really connect your business to a cause. You will start belonging to the kind of entrepreneurs that I call change makers. Um, and you will realize that this is something that you can do for a long time. So it's going to become more easy. So if you're interested in this approach, think about it not as much as a literature or content development exercise, but as a leadership exercise. Leadership being, again, your ability to forge your mindset and habits and turning possibilities into realities because you're connecting to your purpose. So,
Mm,
long message to say, work on your why and don't wait.
mm. So awesome. Well, I know that you're giving away a free book. You're also giving away your free narrative power assessment. Can you talk a little bit about those two things and how people can grab those?
Yeah, these two resources are available on my website, metahelm.com. And they are, first of all, the ebook is a very quick read. It's 13 minutes. I read it for you. There's a voiceover version. And then the assessment will take you through the deepest, slightly deeper layers of what I just explained before, those 4 disciplines. And you can just click there and spend 5 minutes answering those questions. And what I want to offer for the people who are listening to us, Joe, is that if you take this assessment and say in the questions that you heard this on the Practice of the Practice podcast, I'll be happy to spend 30 minutes with you guys to go over your results and give you some pointers to what should be or could be next to grow your practice.
So awesome. We'll have those links all in the show notes over at practiceofthepractice.com. Guillaume, thank you so much for being on the Practice of the Practice podcast.
It was a pleasure, Joey. Thank you so much for this amazing resource, and I look forward to chatting again soon.
So many great tools there, mindsets, ways to think through leveling up your business. And, just to have that quick masterclass, that quick tutorial on the basics is a great reminder of what we can be doing to make our private practices even stronger. Now, if you are not bursting at the seams, if your clinicians are not bursting at the seams, and you are not full, we want you to be full within 40 days. That's why we have just launched the absolutely free course, 40 Days to Full. You will get a daily text message with the exact step you need to do that day to get to full. And guess what? It's not 7 days of work. I actually put some things in there to slow you down a little bit too, because if you've known me for any period of time, slowing down is often a big part of speeding up. And so we are not going to be doing 40 full days of work because you should take a break. So you're going to get break ideas in there as well. So to get the 40 days to full, all you have to do is text hashtag 40, that's the number 40, so hashtag 40 to the number 231 422 0677. Again, that's 231 422 0677. Just do hashtag 40, and then you will start getting those daily text messages for 40 days about what you can do to get full. So we can't wait to hear from you as to the results of what you get from that daily course that we are launching. Also, we could not do this podcast without the help of our sponsors, and Alma is our sponsor today. And they know, and I know, that building a private practice can be challenging. When I had my practice, it was so hard to know how to attract clients, how to get the business side right. Those of you that take insurance, how to do that. Growing the caseload, all of that can be really, really difficult. And that's why Alma gives clinicians the tools they need to build a thriving private practice. When you join their insurance program, you can get credentialed within 45 days and access their enhanced reimbursement rates with major payers. I almost said players. Yeah, players too. Insurance players and payers. So you can learn more about a thriving practice over at Alma, and their website is helloalma.com/Joe. That's helloalma.com/Joe to get started. Thank you so much for letting me into your ears and into your brain. Have an amazing day. I'll talk to you soon. Special thanks to the band Silence is Sexy for that intro music, and this podcast is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information in regard to the subject matter covered. It is given with the understanding that neither the host, the producers, the publishers, or guests are rendering legal, accounting, clinical, or other professional information. If you want a professional, you should find one.